morning. I haven't missed one. Outstanding, just like being in school.
It has been a week in the areas of law and government and the aspiration for justice. I am delighted. I am honored that you have chosen to spend some of your weekend time with me in discussion.
Anyway, thanks for tuning in to the Todd Allbaugh Show. We have a little less than a minute until we kick off the show.
I apologize on behalf of all of us.
At National Geographic Society, we believe in the power
deafening
of wonder.
for some
It
people out
drives
there.
us to explore.
I didn't think it was that loud, but then again, my overall volume is very low.
It's my headphones. But if it was loud for me, I know it was loud.
More essential than ever.
All right, everybody, welcome. Welcome.
Got 30 seconds.
Very good.
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with our outstanding producer, Mr. Aaron Zommers, on the board. It is now Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. It is a great day to be Wisconsinite, 6 past the hour of 2 o'clock here at the world headquarters of Civic Media in downtown Madison, Wisconsin. Sun's out, partly sunny skies here in the Mad City. Mr. Zommers made it through some storms overnight, a little bit bumpy here and there.
A little bit. I mean, it didn't get terrible here in Madison, but around the state,
4
maybe.
o'clock, I think. I was woken up by a couple of lightning bolts. Well, I mean, not the lightning, the thunder.
The thunder.
Yeah, it was. But in other parts of Wisconsin, we talked about this yesterday on the show, that it was an unsettled weather pattern, according to the Leader Telegram, great newspaper up there of record in the Eau Claire area, the Chippewa Valley, had a touchdown in Eau Claire County last night. I can report to you my sister and family are okay. At least that's via mom. She texted me this morning, and I'm very thankful for that. It looks like, according to one of the folks up there, said that the story, we lucked out. That was the words used by one of the sheriff's deputies, in that no significant, I'm not going to say none, but there was no significant damage that we know of in terms of like an entire town being taken out or a school. I'm sure there were some rural areas that were hit by this, but the tornado was on the ground. National Weather Service is looking at it today, and it wasn't just Eau Claire County. I think Clark County, maybe not a touchdown, but some very severe storm damage there over near Wausau. So we saw that this time yesterday. These storms were popping up around Black River Falls, kind of going through Eau Claire County, and then towards the east, towards Eau Claire. That's where it continued to go throughout the night. Other places had heavy rains and hail and some higher winds. But again, the most damage appears to be in Eau Claire County with that touchdown last night. We will find out the category. They always come in and they rate the categories from F1 being the lowest grade tornado up to an F5. So we're awaiting word from the National Weather Service on what that one will be. But thankful that the damage was not worse than it was, and thinking of all those folks up in Eau Claire County and all those listeners of WCFW, the tap up there in the Chippewa Valley, especially those who were affected by the tornado there in Eau Claire County last night. According to our weather folks, looks like a nicer day on tap, but cooler, as Albert Childress used to say here at MPC 15. You know, I say cool. He would say cool. He'd say, give me a little cool. Later on tonight. So Brittany Merlot says it'll be cooler for us here in most of Wisconsin, but then looks like a dandy of a week coming up on Saturday and Sunday across most of Wisconsin. Sunny skies, temperatures in the mid to upper 60s, so it looks like a fine weekend. Maybe 70 by Sunday.
We have reached shorts weather.
Zommers is in shorts. As my grandpa used to say, he's in his short pants.
I should have been in my short pants for the last week or two, but
yes,
better late than never.
Better late than never. Glad to have you along. Going to be a great show today. If you heard any of our promos for today, I had promo that Pat Kreitlow, host of Up North News Mornings with Pat Kreitlow. No, it's Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. We are powered by no one, just our sheer strength coming in every day. That's what's powering us. But Pat Kreitlow was. So here's the deal. We've changed things around a little bit, and I was confused. There's nothing new about that. I showed up on his show this morning, and he's like, "Why are you here?" No, he was very gracious. He was very nice, and he let me on. But my normal day with Pat is supposed to be Wednesdays, and now I've got it figured out. Both he and Trigby are reunited, and it feels so good on Wednesday hump days in the 2:00 hour. So
and I'm going to play that song tomorrow.
Absolutely. Pat will be here tomorrow along with Trigby Olson. So looking forward to nervous anticipation to that. I will be on the Pat Kreitlow program tomorrow morning again at 7:50.
You will spend the morning with Pat Kreitlow on the conveniently named Mornings with Pat Kreitlow.
Exactly the case. So no Pat today. He'll be here tomorrow, but lots to get to on this 100th day of Trump 2.0. First 100 days of the new Trump administration. Asking you the question today in this first hour, how have Trump's first 100 days affected you? Affected you personally. Not so much all the policies going on, unless they've affected you personally. Not all the news headlines, but I'm very curious to know of our listeners, how has Trump's first 100 days affected you personally? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Have you bought something you wouldn't normally buy? Have you not bought something you were planning on or might not or might normally buy? How has it affected your life? Trump's first 100 days, 855-752-4842. Also, UPS breaking about a half an hour ago. UPS says they're going to lay 20,000 people off, cutting 20,000 jobs amid reduction in Amazon shipments. According to CBS News, we'll talk about that. Speaking of Amazon, we're going to get to that a little bit later as well. Amazon was talking about, well, here's what we're going to do now. When you go to Amazon, we're going to give you the price, and then we're going to tell you how much it is costing, what the increase is, and what portion of that is attributable to the Trump tariffs. Well, Trump got wind of this morning, and it appears now already Amazon changing course. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. Much more to get, of course, with hour number 2. What's worse? Sauerkraut and stinky cheese edition. We'll talk about that as well. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. But first, I want to get to this. On the 100th day of Trump 2.0, this from the Daily Beast headline, Karl Rove guts Donald Trump in scathing Fox News interview, says he's in, quote, very bad shape. And there's a punchline to it. Fox News analyst Karl Rove tore into President Donald Trump, saying the president, quote, is in very bad shape, unquote, with the general public after his tariffs upended the economy. Quote, when it gets to the economy, he's in very bad shape, unquote. Fox News said Rove said on Fox News on the program Journal editorial report on Saturday. Rove went on to say, quote, and it's not only that he's in short-term bad shape, there is also evidence in the poll that no matter, even if he gets his way on certain things like tariffs, that he's not in good shape in the long run, unquote. Rove further told the Wall Street Journal's editorial page editor, Paul Gigot, or Gigot, it's G-I-G-O-T, Gigot? I'm not sure. Anyway, on Saturday, that the Fox News poll with Trump's economic approval ratings hovering at 38%. Let me say that again. According to a Fox News poll, because this is important, Fox News poll that says Trump's economic approval ratings are hovering at 38%, showed that Americans are angry about how he has managed taxpayers' money. The stock market suffered its worst crash in half a decade earlier this month after Trump announced, then pulled back, sweeping reciprocal tariffs on the world. Rove, of course, a former advisor to Vice President Dick Cheney and former President George W. Bush, ran through the poll. The Fox News poll, which showed that 54% of Americans say Trump's tariffs would hurt the economy in the short term, and 51% say it will hurt the country over time. Rove said, quote, "There's some very deep-seated skepticism among ordinary Americans about the effect of the economy, the president's economic policies, both in the short run and the long run," unquote, Rove said. And the whole poll in Fox News on Trump's first 100 days, it ain't favorable. I'll tell you that right now. Well, Stephen Miller, who has decided to finally embrace baldness, like myself, for a while there, he tried a toupee. Then I'm not sure it was a Flowbee or what was going on. He had one. Have you seen those infomercials at like 2 a.m. where you spray paint on your hair? Miller,
so weird.
Miller tried that for a while, and now he's decided, no, I'm just going to accept that I'm bald. And so Stephen Miller went to the place where all the networks do their hits, they call them. And by the way, Donald Trump's folks have put up like wanted posters on the lawn now of undocumented folks to drive that whole point home. But Stephen Miller sprinted out on the lawn of the White House to do a hit on Fox News, to take on Fox News and their polling. Here's Stephen Miller.
It is our opinion that Fox News needs to fire its pollster. And I won't surprise you with that. I don't think you're surprised that I'm saying that. But the Fox News pollster has always been wrong about President Trump. They were the ones that said all summer long that Kamala Harris was going to be the 47th president of the United States. So we don't acknowledge any of that polling.
Stephen Miller calling on Fox News to fire its pollster.
Yeah, the host holding the microphone is like holding back a shocked face. You can tell.
And Miller saying that they've always been wrong. They said that Harris was going to win. All right. Let's do a Fox News check. Here we are. Here's the Fox News poll from October 24th, 2024, a week before the election. Headline, Trump ahead of Harris by 2 points nationally, unquote. Trump went on to win by 1.5 points nationwide. Stephen Miller is just wrong. And we've talked about it on this program before, and I can't explain it. I don't know why. But Roger Ailes, who controls Fox News, Fox Media, for whatever reason, has decided to leave the polling arm of Fox News alone. And for all of its entertainment focus at Fox News, which really isn't journalism, they have decided to leave intact their polling operation and their election desk operation. And this is what ticked Trump off so much in 2020, when Fox News was the first outlet to call Arizona for Joe Biden. And Trump world went apoplectic. In the media, Fox News election desk and Fox News polling is known as some of the best in the business, as evidenced in this October 24th, 2024 poll, where they said that Trump was ahead by 2 points nationally. Trump goes on to win by 1.5 points a couple of weeks later. Now, Stephen Miller of Trump World says Fox should fire all their pollsters because they're never right, and there's no way they can be wrong on Donald Trump's bad numbers after 100 days. I just love how disingenuous they are. It's entertaining. But what I want to know, I'm very curious about this. How has Trump's first 100 days back in office, Trump 2.0, how has it affected you personally? Because I think that's what's really going to tell the story of why these poll numbers are in the basement for Trump. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. You can text us on the Civic Media app. How have the first 100 days of Trump 2.0 affected you here in Wisconsin? Back after this is the Allbaugh Show, right here across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
I also think it's very funny.
At a Milwaukee barbershop.
I got an apprentice here shadowing me. I'm put this hot towel on, man. About a good 3 minutes, all right?
The apprentice is Donald Driver.
So when you come here, you drive?
Yes.
Your car got seatbelts?
Yeah.
You wear them?
No.
Okay, but why not?
I don't want to.
But do you know you can get a ticket for that? I'm going to give you a ticket. Bet you wish you buckle up now.
Oh, my God.
Donald Driver can't always be there to remind you.
Take it, click it. There we go. Click it or ticket.
And let's reduce fatalities on Wisconsin roadways. Sponsored by Wisconsin DOT.
The John and Gordy Show.
We have as our special guest Mike McCabe.
What they are trying to do is finance $4 trillion worth of tax cuts for the rich. We've got a whole bunch of billionaires who don't pay taxes, and we are deporting people who do pay taxes. Yeah. So, I said it's not like we're rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. We're throwing paying passengers overboard to make more room for a bigger first class for those freeloaders who are lounging there.
Weekday mornings 6 till 8 on 92.7 WMDX and the Civic Media app. Amicus, a law review with Jim Santel.
Ross calling in.
Thanks for your show. I'm just wondering if we're watching or witnessing a legal system where what we thought was precedent is now going to be sort of cast away.
The reality is the question that you raise about the future and what are the implications when in fact the things we understood always to be bedrocks of our community, of our nation, are no longer that.
Amicus, a law review, Saturday mornings from 9 to 11.
Nothing you could say could tear me away from my dog. My dog is shallow, y'all. Hi, I'm Smokey Robinson. When you adopt a shelter pet, you not only bring joy and love into your home, you also give another animal the chance to experience that special bond. Join me in supporting American Humane Society and their incredible work to help our most vulnerable friends. Together, we can make a real difference. Donate today at American Humane.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network for a Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. Glad to have you along. 22 minutes now past the hour of 2 o'clock. Donald Trump now 100 days into his second term, Trump 2.0. How is it affecting you? How has this first 100 days affected you personally? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Fox News poll. Fox News now saying after 100 days, overall job performance, 55% of Americans disapprove of Donald Trump's handling of his job versus 44% who approve. The one place Trump still has good numbers, border security. 55% approve of Trump, 40% disapprove. But even on the question of immigration, 48% disapprove, 47% approve. And it gets worse for Trump on foreign policy. 54% disapprove of Donald Trump's performance on foreign policy to only 40% that approve. On the economy, which is what he ran on, that and the border. On the economy, according to Fox News polling, 56% now disagree with how Trump is handling the economy, with 38% who agree. On taxes, Trump 53% disapprove of his handling of the tax situation, of taxes in America. Only 38% support Trump. On tariffs, according to Fox News poll, 58% of Americans disagree with Trump's handling of tariffs to 33% that approve. And on inflation, 59% of Americans disapprove of Donald Trump to 33% that approve of his performance on inflation. That, according to a Fox News poll conducted April 18th through the 21st, it has of registered voters with a plus or minus of 3 points. I would say that's in the basement. I would say those. I mean, look, I've run a lot of campaigns. If your candidate is 53% disapprove, 38% approve on taxes, that ain't good. Overall job performance, you're 10 points underwater. 55 to 44. Well, 9, I guess, if you want to be technical about it. How has the first 100 days of Trump affected you? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Out to Los Angeles we go. L.A. Tom, thanks for holding. What do you say, L.A.?
Yeah, Todd, first I want to correct just the record on something for the listening audience. Fox News is just the brand name. They actually are not like NBC News. In fact, MSNBC is the place for politics, as an example. Fox, that part of their show is not actual news. It's Fox Propaganda Network, and news has to be done in the good of the people, and they don't have the credentials like NBC News or CBS News or what have you.
Right. I've said it was entertainment. But the polling and the election desk, that has been spot on. I don't know why Roger Ailes has chosen not to skew that, but he hasn't. And most people, even those in other places,
want people to know that.
Right.
I just want people truly is not a news network. It is a opinion network that has just branded themselves as news, so people automatically think that it is news, and it's not.
We're up against the clock. What do you got? Quick.
Yep, your question. Basically, I would say, one, all of my items have gone up in price, like dog food, cat food, by like $7 each case of dog food and cat food. What has changed for me is I am much more aware. I am much more protesting. I am much more not waiting around for him to take people like yours and my rights away. I am being proactive before it ever happens. So I'm not going to end up in a concentration camp or somewhere like that, like some of these people from El Salvador, or that are being sent to El Salvador, that are happening. So I would say that more than anything, I think we'll see a big difference by May 10th, May 20th. It's going to be even worse because there's nothing coming through the port of Long Beach, which is one of the biggest ports there is. And so a lot of pain's coming, but I will say that for myself personally, I have just been very, very proactive, listening to civic media, which is actually a news outlet, I believe, because you guys actually tell news. But I know you're also opinion shows. But yeah, I think I've just been more aware of what is going on and making sure, that things don't start sliding into that authoritarian dictatorship.
Appreciate the call, L.A. Thank you so very much for your listenership. 855-752-4842 here in Madison on WMDX. Dick in Madison. How has your life changed in the first 100 days of Trump 2.0?
A lot like Tom's. A lot more than I'd like to spend at it. It was nice not having to watch this guy. I mean, I've been to both the rallies in Madison so far, and I hope there's some really big ones. I hope they do something on Memorial Day weekend. I really do, nationwide. But have you heard what he's pulling tonight?
Let's go to Michigan tonight to announce something.
Yeah, and he's calling it the Promises Made, Promises Kept rally. For crying out loud, how delusional does he think we are? Here's another thing. Why do we even have a border problem? Because he built a wall, remember?
We'll come back and talk.
That's right.
We'll come back and talk about that. The phone lines are lit up like a Christmas tree. As our friend Matt Flynn likes to say, we see you on the lines. Do not hang up. We'll take all your calls on the other side. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show, the first 100 days of Trump. How has it affected you? Right here on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Madison's real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX. Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
Labor trafficking. It could be happening on a lot of our Wisconsin farms and farming operations. I'm PM Yankee with a quick update on what's happening in food and farming news for a Tuesday. We all know that Wisconsin agriculture does rely on a lot of migrant labor, but what you may not think about is where did that labor come from and why are they there? Mariana Rodriguez is the director of UMOS and their Latina Resource Center in Milwaukee. She says labor trafficking in agriculture could be happening on a farm without the owners even knowing about it.
Workers have said the owners are really, they're very nice, but we don't get to talk to them. When we're looking at some of the farms that are working with an agency and the recruiter, they really should do a lot more background information as to who they are. Who is that recruiter specifically? What do you know about that person? What are the workers saying? And so the employer does need to invest some time in interacting with workers.
That's Mariana Rodriguez. She's the director of UMOS's Latina Resource Center in Milwaukee. She reminds agribusinesses and farms that it is their responsibility at the end of the day to know where their employees are coming from.
There were some other good texts.
There
were some other good texts about that too. And I can't disagree with Carrie and Tosa.
Trafficking is recruitment, harboring, and transporting of workers and using force, fraud, or coercion for labor services.
With Clarifly Larvicide, you get more than just the fly control product. You get more support, more expertise, and more control to prevent the emergence
People
of
have feelings. That's great.
from the manure of
We're
treated
going
cattle.
to talk about that when we come back here. 3 more minutes, so hang on. If you're on the phone, hang on with us.
To become
We'll
a
back
part of what you are
quickly. We'll
already
write
doing,
the phone line.
feeding your cattle. Get control of flies with a comprehensive program built around Clarifly Larvicide and Sarbar products. To learn more about Clarifly Larvicide, contact your local feed dealer or visit centralflycontrol.com.
When it's time to choose a residual herbicide for your soybeans, you need broad-spectrum weed control that lasts. Zidua Pro and Zidua SC herbicides by BASF give your crop up to 2 more weeks of residual weed control, providing 50% more control than other Group 15 residuals. The long-lasting herbicide portfolio protects your soybeans from even the toughest weeds while providing a steady growing environment for the entire season. Talk to your retailer today about adding Zidua Pro and Zidua SC herbicides to your 2025 plan. Always read and follow label directions.
And the wheels are rolling for a lot of Wisconsin farmers as of Sunday. According to the Wisconsin Ag Statistical Service, we had 4% of our corn planted, 6% of our soybeans are in the ground, 26% of our spring tillage is complete, 41% of our potatoes have already been planted, 26% of the oats are also in the ground. That's all as of Sunday. That's a look at food news on a Tuesday. I'm PM Yankee.
Hey, at the end of the day, everybody wants the same thing from their mattress. A good night's rest, am I right? It's not rocket science.
I would maybe save this one for last.
Sunny today and
just because
breezy.
we have a new
Winds out of
person.
the northwest, gusting around
So,
20
sounds
to
good.
30
Maybe
miles per
I'll
hour.
put in
It'll start to ease
numbers.
tonight, and with clear skies, we drop chilly into the mid-30s. Then tomorrow, it'll be sunny with highs at 60 and some rain rolling in late. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, it's 59 degrees.
The John and Gordy Show.
We have as our special guest Mike McCabe.
What they are trying to do is finance $4 trillion worth of tax cuts for the rich. We've got a whole bunch of billionaires who don't pay taxes, and we are deporting people who do pay taxes.
Yeah.
So, I said it's not like we're rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. We're throwing paying passengers overboard to make more room for a bigger first class for those freeloaders who are lounging there.
Weekday mornings 6 till 8 on 92.7 WMDX and the Civic Media app.
When a parent sees their child smile, they see hope. Aleem hoped that his son Rajib would have an easier life than he had. You see, Rajib just like his father, was born with a cleft. But thanks to Smile Train, both father and son received free, life-changing surgeries, transforming their smiles into symbols of hope. To learn more and support the global cleft community, visit
Pursuing truth wherever you may be and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. It is now 35 minutes past the hour of 2 o'clock on Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. Glad to have you along with us in hour number 2. Gonna give you our what's worse for the day, sauerkraut or stinky cheese. We'll take phone calls on that a little bit later. UPS announcing they're going to cut 20,000 jobs. We'll talk about that as well. Amazon makes a reverse course after Donald Trump makes a call. Doesn't like the Trump tariffs being put out there for all to see. But right now we're talking about the first 100 days. Today is it. First 100 days of Donald Trump 2.0, the second term. How has it affected you? You personally. A lot of great texts we're going to get to in a minute. This in light of Fox News polling that came out showing that overall job performance, Trump is at 55% disapprove, 44% approve. On inflation, 59% disapprove of Trump's handling to 33% approve. The only place where Trump had a positive mark in this Fox News poll was on border security, 55% versus 40%. But on this 100th day of Trump 2.0, how is it affecting you? You personally, that's what I want to know. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Stay on the phone lines. They're going to take you in the order that you called. Let's go to Jeff in Wausau on WXCO up there in beautiful Wausau. Jeff, do you have any rough weather last night? How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine, and yes, we did have some pretty good
yeah
rain and blowing winds. That's for sure.
So what do you think? First 100 days of Trump 2.0, how has it affected you?
Well, the one thing I've noticed that I'm an older guy and I come out in my yard and I do a little bit of walking, and I get along with my neighbors, and some of my neighbors are fairly strong Republicans, and as it turns out, they're kind of becoming my friend now, and
wow, all right,
they really think that Trump has gone down the tubes.
That's so fascinating, and that's a great real report there of just talking to your neighbors and folks that might have voted for Trump, but they're like, we didn't vote for this. Because we've heard of that, a lot. We hear about it on national news reports, but it's interesting to hear it from our friends and neighbors in WXCO in Wausau.
Absolutely. And things that have also directly affected me, I had a dryer that was going on the fritz and also a dishwasher that needed to be replaced. I got that done right after the first of the year when I started hearing about the tariffs, because both those items were going to get cracked. I was sure of that. And so I've got that, and I've seen in the stores it looks like they're going up in price.
Yeah.
And then thirdly, for myself, because I've seen the grocery bills that we have and being retired, I've got X amount of dollars.
Right.
That I've currently secured employment, so I can work a little bit of part-time to help ease, the climbing grocery prices and stuff like that. The gas prices are good. I got to say I haven't seen much of that, but the grocery prices have just been kind of hammering. Eggs have been down, but it's a lot of money. So, anyways,
I really appreciate the honesty and openness there, Jeff. Thank you so much for your listenership up there in Wausau. 855-752-4842. How have the first 100 days of Trump 2.0 affected you personally? We go to Wisco Paul. Wisco, always a pleasure. What say you? Wisco, are you there, my friend? Is Wisco there? Wisco is not there. Wisco ended. All right, Wisco, call back if you get the if you hear us. 855-752-4842. Go up here to Madison, WMDX. Phyllis in Madison. Phyllis, how have the first 100 days of Trump 2.0 affected you?
Well, my blood pressure is way up.
Right? Yeah.
Also, I made the terrible mistake of checking my retirement investments, and he has made almost $120,000 just turn into a poof of smoke for me. And I'm 76 years old. I'm not going to be having time to recoup that anytime.
Yeah.
And also, I have a little button that says I read banned books. I'm a retired librarian, and that sparks a lot of interesting conversation. I don't want to say, anti-Trump things. I don't want to identify myself that way, although that is me through and through. But what happens is that sparks a lot of conversation. I was at the grocery store, and one of the cashiers said, "I like your button. 2 out of 3 of my kids are gay," and that's what that's about. And there's a lot of that going on. So thanks for taking my call.
Hey, I really appreciate it, Phyllis. By the way, I didn't mean to chuck when you say your blood pressure was up. Because I feel that too. I mean, I haven't slept as well. My anxiety is up. I'll say that. So it's real.
For the first time ever, I was thinking about maybe buying a gun, and I thought, well, that's crazy. What am I going to use it for?
Right.
So anyhow, I'm getting a little crazy, like everybody else. So
well, appreciate the call.
So
We're in this together, Phyllis. I appreciate your call. 855-752-4842. Go to WAUK in Milwaukee. Courtney in Milwaukee. Courtney, thanks for calling. How have the first 100 days of Trump 2.0 affected you personally?
Yeah, for me, I am recently engaged, and
congrats.
Thank you. I was, my fiance is from Europe, so we were planning on having the wedding here in the States. But with everything going on, there's been a lot of worry, because he is a foreigner. I mean, he is from England. He is mixed race, so he can come off as being an immigrant, and with everything like the deportations, the people being arrested and not heard from for days on end, it's been really scary to even consider having him come over. He was supposed to come over the summer, and he's no longer going to be doing that. So we're having to shift all of our wedding plans to somewhere not the States right now, for that.
Yeah, I really feel for you, Courtney, and I'm not sure the phone went off there. But Courtney, thanks for your transparency, for sharing that story. My heart goes out to you that you're having to redo these wedding plans. But again, hang in there. I still believe the majority of Americans are good people. But I appreciate your very real story of how this is affecting you. 855-752-4842. Let's go to Mark in Prairie du Sac. Mark, thanks for calling. How has the first 100 days affected you, Trump 2.0?
Well, I mean, it kind of breaks my heart to hear Courtney's story for one. That Americans should actually have to gauge something like that based on the Mad King Donald's immigration policy. But the thing that's really broken my heart is these stories now of these children that are getting, American citizens that are getting deported, and the lies that they're telling. Well, the mothers, have decided to do this. In some of these cases, these mothers had mere minutes to make up their mind before they're being totaled off to deportation, so they don't have time to arrange for the children to stay in this country, and for those children that are now going to more than likely die because they're have been denied the medical care that they're getting here is just horrifying. I mean, how these people that in the Trump administration can actually sleep at night defending these policies is beyond me. I mean, bribery, Bondi, and Lion Levitt.
Right.
And
but Mark, I'm trying. What I mean, I appreciate your comments as always. But what is there anything specifically where your life has changed, whether it's in how you're sleeping at night or what you're paying for things? How has it affected you personally?
I don't know if I'm sleeping quite as well. But I try not to let it bother me. I'm trying to get out with the dog and take long walks with him and try and appreciate the birds that are coming around here and that seeing goldfinches and white-crowned sparrows and other things that I usually don't see and just try to because the only thing that stress is going to cause is make Donald Trump happy and
right.
To hell with him.
I appreciate the call. Thanks, Mark, as always. I've spent more time outside. That's for sure. I've spent more time outside.
Good to touch grass.
Right? Talking about how have the first 100 days of Donald Trump 2.0 affected you on this 100th day. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842, up to beautiful Chippewa Falls, and listening on WCFW. And thanks for calling in. Any storm damage from you from last night?
We did not. We were lucky. We didn't get anything here.
Glad to hear that.
But I was going to say we were going to build a house this spring, and the builder could not come to a final price because he doesn't know what's going to happen.
Wow.
So we just decided to buy a home already, and I'm glad we did because the same house went up big time already. So just prices,
Right.
It's just crazy how expensive everything is.
Yeah. No,
And I think that's going to be a big hurt for a lot of people.
Appreciate you sharing, Ann. Thanks so much in Chippewa Falls for sharing that real-life story there. 855-752-4842. Let's go quickly to Milwaukee. WAUK, Karina in Milwaukee. Karina, thanks for calling. How have the first 100 days of Trump 2.0 affected you personally?
Well, I tell you this, I do have an anxiety, honestly, and I'm not really anxious person. I'm anxious, I'm paranoid, I don't like where I live, I don't like what I hear. I have a lot of people around me who are immigrants and on asylum from the country. They cannot go back, and, they're not criminals. They're not a part of anything. They don't have a tattoos or something like that. But at this point, it feels like anyone who is not a citizen, and even citizens are threatened to go to Salvador prison. So it is very messy, and it doesn't feel 100 days. It doesn't feel 100 days. It feels like 6 months for sure. Also, the food getting more expensive. I wanted to I did a little construction in my condo, and everything getting more expensive. We're tariffs most of the time. We have a 90 days break, and I don't know why they increasing price. They increasing prices to the future. You see, because everything what they selling right now is already in America.
Right. Karina, let me get a short answer on this one. I'm just curious because you've been very open about being an immigrant to this country. Your anxiety of being an immigrant to this country, was it worse in the first 100 days of the first Trump administration, or has it been worse this time?
No.
Okay.
And I'm worried for my employees as well because they are on asylum. They have a Social Security. And when I'm hearing, oh, can you imagine? They're not even the citizen, but they have a Social Security. Yes, everybody have a Social Security who comes
That's the way it works,
for
right?
Permanently.
Exactly.
That's how it works. I had a Social Security for 7 years until I got my citizenship. Nobody getting citizenship right away. You have to prepare. You have to go test. It's a huge process.
Right. Karina, up against the clock. Always appreciate your call. I am certainly happy that you're an immigrant to this country. You make Wisconsin and America better, Karina. Hang in there. Going to come back and talk with Mike in Muscatine, the Morel capital of the world, on WRCE. After this, don't go anywhere. It's the Allbaugh Show in Civic Media.
Reach, engage, grow with Civic Media. Log on civicmedia.us/advertise.
This is Chad Spate. Are you thinking about improving your home? At Chad's Design Build, we're proud to offer remodeling done well with love. And our commitments to you and your home convey that love and spell our name. The Chad's experience is structured to provide excellent communication, honesty, accuracy, detailed proposals, and satisfied customers. We're also committed to making your home comfortable, healthy, attractive, durable, and sustainable. If you want a quality remodel and a quality remodeling experience, go to chadsdesignbuild.com to learn more.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. On April 22nd, in the Wisconsin State Senate, something happened that you don't see too often. A high-profile bill passed with overwhelming bipartisan support. The Republican-controlled chamber voted 32-1 to extend Medicaid coverage for new moms from 60 days to 12 months. Wisconsin is one of only 2 U.S. states that has not already extended this critical postpartum coverage. So with that kind of support, you'd expect the bill to pass, right? Well, Republican Assembly Speaker Robin Vos has repeatedly blocked this legislation from coming up for a vote. Several Republican state representatives have been speaking out on this.
Jerry is or Gary, whoever it is.
But he has not yet budged.
I let you go, dude. But when you start attacking my listeners, saying that someone does not make America or Wisconsin better by being here, you're gone. So thanks. See ya.
That has already been supported by the majority of his own party. Let the people vote, Mr. Speaker.
Find all of Dan's work at the Recombobulation area.
Thank you.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
Check out my war plans. Pete Hegseth talking about first big strike against the Houthis in Yemen on Signal, 2 separate channels. Yes, the one you heard about before with the reporter on it. Oops-a-daisy. And now also his wife, his bro, and his lawyer who magically got hired by the Pentagon. This guy's judgment could not be worse. Do you think Hegseth should probably resign?
The Maggie Dawn Show. Weekday afternoons 4 until 6 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. The John and Gordy Show.
We have as our special guest Mike McCabe.
What they are trying to do is finance $4 trillion worth of tax cuts for the rich. We've got a whole bunch of billionaires who don't pay taxes, and we are deporting people who do pay taxes.
Yeah.
So, I said it's not like we're rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. We're throwing paying passengers overboard to make more room for a bigger first class for those freeloaders who are lounging there.
Also, Kizu, we'll share your comment as well on the other side. That's a horrible situation to have to be in. I'm sorry about that. And also sorry for Jerry or Gary or whatever yelling at you about that. That was also uncalled for.
I needed a break.
I also thought cigarettes.
I don't mind people disagree with us. That's fine, but you're not gonna. We're just not gonna allow on either side of an issue. We're just not going to attack each other personally or banning people. Wherever it may lead and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 8 before the hour of 3 o'clock. In the 3 o'clock hour, our What's Worse. We'll take phone calls on that next hour. Sauerkraut or stinky cheese. We'll talk about that next hour. Right now, something more serious. Trump's first 100 days, 2.0, second term. Fox News poll out saying that overall job performance, 55% of Americans do not agree with the way President Trump is handling his second term. 44% do. On inflation, 59% disagree with Trump. 33% think he's doing a good job. The only place where he's above water is on border security. 55% approve, 40% disapprove. According to a Fox News poll, Stephen Miller from the White House runs out to go on Fox News to say, you should fire all the Fox News polling people because they're always wrong. And then we read you the headline from Fox News from late October saying he was ahead of Harris by 2 points going into the last week. Trump wins by 1.5.
I think that 0.5% is within the margin of error.
I think it is. And look, I'm not a big Fox News fan, but star asterisk, as my former teacher Ken Thied was fond of saying, the one area where Fox News has been accurate and maintains respect across all spectrums of media is their polling and their election desk. For whatever reason, they've decided not to skew that, and I'm glad they do. 855-752-4842. How has Donald Trump's second term affected you personally? We go out to Muscatine, Wisconsin, the home of the Morel Mushroom Festival, coming up soon. I cannot wait. Mike, listening on WRCE in Richland Center. Mike, what say you?
Well, personally, I thank you for taking my call. And I feel a little bit safer personally because the Trumpster has, he did what he said, and he has closed the border. Now, Sleepy Joe was letting anybody in. We didn't have a clue who was coming over that border. He did what they didn't want to do, and I admire him for closing the border. I feel better at night and the day.
I appreciate, I appreciate the call, Mike. Thank you very much. That was, as we said, the one area in this Fox News poll where Trump got higher numbers than lower. 55% said they supported Trump on border security. 40% did not. On immigration overall, Trump was underwater by 1 point, 48 to 47. And on deportations, Trump is underwater 49 to 45%. But Dan Schaefer from the recombobulation area has been on this program. We've talked about it before. And, Dan has spoken that was the one area where Democrats should have and could have done better in the election, that they did a poor job of communicating on the border, on immigration as a whole. And it was the one area where Trump did better. Now, you can look at it objectively and say, look, the undocumented rate was going way down in the last 6 months of the Biden administration. It was already at historic lows. Trump came in and took part credit for that, but he also instituted things which have kept it down as well. So, I think that's certainly an area where Democrats were susceptible on to challenges, and Trump made hay on that. So 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Lots of texts, and I appreciate them so very much. We'll get to more of these on the other side in hour 2 because I think it's really important. I really appreciate the honesty of this audience. And look, it's Mike from Muscatine. Look, I'm happy to take people that I don't always agree with. That's fine. But there was a Yahoo on the YouTube channel who was saying personal attacks against fellow callers. And that's the kind of stuff that will get you banned in our YouTube page because I'm not going to put up with personal attacks against each other. So as long as it's respectful, always happy to take calls from the other side as well. As Zizou on YouTube said, this is heartbreaking how Trump 2.0 has affected her. Said I had to deal with the stress of whether my veteran disabled father in a home would lose coverage and care. I hated that I felt slightly happy when my dad passed away in March. Boy, that says it all right there. Thinking about how you're going to... And we talked... I was on Jane McNair's program with Greg Bach, McNair on air this morning. And there was a meeting in Richland County, actually, last week, talking about the impact of these Trump cuts, particularly to Medicaid, to Head Start programs, others, and how that ripples down even into rural parts of our state. And people don't stop and think about what this means to them. As Zizou said there, as our grandparents age and have to go into care, that's a lot of Medicaid dollars that cover that. Disabled veterans, kids on disability. Nobody thinks, or very few people think, about the real implications to this. 855-752-4842. Let's go quickly to Diana in Oconomowoc. Diana, what has 2.0 Trump meant for you?
Hi. Well, I guess I'm one of the oddballs, it sounds like, from what other people have been saying, because I've been really happy. I love the way that they had this guy, Doge guy, come in and find all that ridiculous waste that happens when you get, a bunch of guys in Washington that aren't accountable to anything. I'm glad that waste is going out. That's helping my taxes.
It's help your taxes. How? Your taxes were lower in Oconomowoc this year?
They will be.
But
they have to throw out that stuff.
But they're not yet. So what you paid in taxes? Did you pay your taxes?
Yet. He just got in. After 4 years of Biden doing all the screwbally junk that he let go on, oh my goodness, I can't understand some of the people's comments. When you let millions and millions of people come in, you think they're not going to take your housing? Of course they are.
Has your housing been taken by someone who's undocumented?
Nope.
Okay, that's it. So I'll make sure I was clear on that. Thanks, Diana. Appreciate the call. WAUK down in Waukesha. Come on back for your phone calls after this. Also, your texts. Trump 2.0. UPS cutting 20,000 jobs, and what's worse, it's all in hour 2 of the Allbaugh Show on Civic Media.
This is 92.7 WMDX Columbus.
Turns out
Madison's
her
home
house
for
has not
real
been
news
taken by an
and great
immigrant.
conversation. A Civic Media station.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. President Trump is traveling to Michigan today, holding a rally marking his 100 days in office. Before leaving, the president signaled he plans to sign executive orders to help ease tariffs on U.S. automakers who rely on overseas parts, he says.
If they can't get parts, we didn't want to penalize them. And you have a 1 year period and then they have an extra year, but it's for a very, very small part of the car. Basically, they're paying 25%.
The Iraqi Supreme Judiciary today announced it's arrested an individual, quote, belonging to the terrorist entity ISIS and accused of inciting the car ramming attack in New Orleans on New Year's Day. The FBI says former U.S. soldier Sean Salvan
I'm glad we have people calling in. I disagree.
Yes, I'm happy for,
which led him to drive his vehicle through a crowd,
likes to say,
14 people.
all callers
Apple
taken,
Juice Company,
all
Martinelli,
points of view, all callers taken,
apple juice
all
jars.
points of view welcome.
Recall stretches across
No topic
28
is off
states.
limits,
No topic
which is
is
not
off
entirely
limits.
true.
But most topics
Your
are
news,
on
conversations,
within reason.
and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local
Within
Civic
things we
Media
can
radio
legally say on the
station
radio.
or the Civic Media app.
Whoever that text is MDX, that's hilarious.
92.7 WMDX News. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. We got rain, some lightning, some thunder, but the storms were worse in other parts of the state. That includes Eau Claire County,
Unfortunately,
where it's
we probably won't read it on
suspected
air,
a
but it is
tornado
funny.
ripped through. Meteorologist Brittany Merlot has more.
A possible tornado in southern Eau Claire County yesterday evening, with photos of it and reports from an emergency manager of structure damage. Radar and reports show the path of the twister may stretch from Fall Creek east to Augusta. Trees also caught fire when they tumbled onto power lines in Rothschild and Cronenwetter in Marathon County. Winds were reported reaching.
And that was
80
a
miles per
good
hour
question
in
to
Wausau
ask with
and
only
55 miles
30
per hour
seconds
in
left. Like, has
Rhinelander.
anyone taken your house yet?
Hail was
Nope.
scattered in some of the
All right,
storms
just
across
checking.
the state,
Anyway,
and
back
nearly
next hour.
Ping pong
Yeah.
ball size hail hit
Just wanted to
Sydney,
clarify.
just outside of Marshfield and Clark County. While winds in Withee whipped up to 60 miles per hour, Wisconsinites this morning, about 2,500 of them, are waking up with no power. And the National Weather Service will be out surveying the damage over the next few days. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot.
And the Slender Man attack was almost 10 years ago now. One of the girls responsible was released from a mental
If anybody
hospital
watching
in
the stream
2021,
knows
and
where to
other
get
is
the
currently in
Jim
the
Neighbors
process of getting
version
her
of
own
O
release,
Canada,
but now there's a
please
snag
let me
in
know.
that plan.
Tried to find it on YouTube.
I know you can. I can't find it.
I haven't tried that hard, but it seems like it's been scrubbed pretty well off there. Maybe maybe on the
I don't know
Internet
why.
Archive, the Wayback Machine's got something.
Jeff Perry has it, I know, somewhere on a videotape somewhere in his archives. By the way, that should be a national treasure, the Jeff Perry archive.
That stuff's got to get digitized.
I
But
know.
the problem is when you have that many tapes,
right?
That's Stuart
it
J. Waddles
is
reporting. For all the local
either
news
very
you need, you can
expensive
head to WMDX
or kind of
radio.
expensive, but very time
I'm Savannah
consuming
Tomei-Olson.
to get it
You're
digitized.
listening to 92.7 WMDX News.
The Packers sign a linebacker. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with Sports NFL. The Packers have signed veteran
LA Tom says, I like Mike McCabe. Yeah, he seems to have some good stuff to say. He's on John and Gordy pretty regularly.
Last year played for the Giants. Green Bay has signed him to a one-year contract. Baseball, the Brewers on the
And he
south
seems
side
to
of
focus
Chicago
on
tonight.
positivity,
They open a
which is always
three-game
good.
series against the White Sox.
From what I hear,
NBA
I don't
Game
listen every
5
day.
tonight, a must
I'm
win
not
for
up
the
at
Bucks.
6.
At 3-1, Pacers head coach Rick Carlisle have a chance to eliminate the Bucks at home tonight in Indianapolis.
We need our crowd to be the loudest it's been all year. Elimination games are always the most difficult, but that's how it's going to be, and we got to be ready.
Doc Rivers.
This is one that, we got to have all hands on. And, we just got to figure it out. As a staff, we got to figure out the right rotation for this group. We got to really come up with better spacing offensively and a better defensive plan for the game.
That's the Bucks head coach Doc Rivers with Sports. I'm Mike Clemens.
You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
Sunny today and breezy. Battling winds out of the northwest, gusting around 20
Yeah,
to 30 miles per hour.
when I was
Start to east
producing
tonight
Up
and
North
clear
News,
skies
as it was known at the time,
chilly
with Pat
into the
Kreitlow,
mid-30s.
I was waking up at
Then
4.
tomorrow, it'll be sunny
It was
with
not
highs
ideal.
at 60 and some rain rolling in late. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Currently, it's 61.
I'm hungry. What's cooking?
Oh, no, not me. It's your turn.
Oh, we're back to taking turns?
Yes.
Well, how about Sugar River Pizza?
Oh, yeah, now they can cook.
Still kind of figuring out exactly when to wake up in the morning now that we're at 2 to 4.
Okay, now I'm hungry.
We're figuring it out.
We'll figure it out. Don't worry.
We don't have
All right.
kids.
Right.
Get ready, everybody. Here we go. Fasten your seatbelts. A Fast and Furious. Hour 2 is straight ahead.
Todd
Allbaugh! No, don't do that. People have PTSD.
We have as our special guest Mike McCabe.
What they are trying to do is finance $4 trillion worth of tax cuts for the rich. We've got a whole bunch of billionaires who don't pay taxes, and we are deporting people who do pay taxes.
Yeah.
So, I said it's not like we're rearranging the deck chairs.
Got about
on the
30
Titanic.
seconds.
We're throwing
Gracias.
passengers overboard.
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with our producer and engineer, the fantastic Mr. Aaron Zommers. On the board, it is Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite. Sunny skies here in downtown Madison, the world headquarters of Civic Media on State Street. Going to be a little chilly today. Sun's out, though. Nice weather overall. Some rough weather up in Eau Claire last night, Eau Claire County. Brittany Merlot was talking there over the break about that touchdown of a tornado. Still waiting to find out what the severity of that is. Looks like no. I'm sure there were some rural areas. That doesn't mean that it was not damaged. It certainly was. And my heart goes out to anybody who lost housing or a pole shed or a barn, anything else like that in Eau Claire County. But no major municipality hit last night, according to reports. So I'm thankful for that. But certainly in southern, northern Wisconsin, if we could call that. Highway 29, that's the dividing line for a lot of people. And that's kind of right along that Highway 29 line from the Chippewa Valley over to Wausau, where the worst of the storms were last night. Cooler skies or cooler temperature and sunny skies today. Going to warm up by this weekend. So looking forward to nervous anticipation to that. The weekend. We're halfway there. We're living on a prayer. No, I won't sing. Don't worry. Coming up in hour 2, a little what's worse for you, talking sauerkraut or stinky cheese. Going to get to this story on CBS, UPS cutting 20,000 jobs. Amazon backing down a little bit from telling the truth from earlier this morning. And our shelves. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the week. Container ships already are not full, and reservations have gone elsewhere, which is going to make it hard for retailers to keep things on the shelf. But have no fear. Our National Treasury Secretary has an answer. We'll play you that in his own words. But right now, 8 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock, want to continue. This is important. And I appreciate all the interaction and people calling and texting in. I want to give people due credit. Donald Trump has been in office now 100 days, his first 100 days in Trump 2.0, according to a Fox News poll. Fox News. Overall job performance, 55% of Americans disagree with Donald Trump. 44% do agree. On inflation, his worst numbers, 59% disagree with how Trump is handling inflation. 33% agree. on tariffs, 58% disagree, 33% agree. One bright spot for Trump, border security. He's up 55 to 40% on border security. He's behind by a point, 48-47 on immigration, behind by 4 points on deportations. 49% disagree with Trump on deportations, 45% agree. And again, Fox News, for whatever you may think of it, the one area where they have not skewed their numbers is in the polling department and the decision desk on election night. Fox News called Arizona for Joe Biden in 2020, much to the consternation of Trump world. And so today, on these new numbers, after 100 days, Stephen Miller rushes to the lawn of the White House, goes on Fox News, and says, we think that all the Fox News pollers should be fired because they've always had it in for Donald Trump. They said that Harris was going to win the election. It's fake news. And we checked back from 2024, a week and a half before the election. Fox News polling said Harris was going to lose, that Donald Trump was up 2 points nationwide, and Trump won by 1.5 points. But the question, and I want to finish up on this because this is really important. How has the first 100 days of Donald Trump affected you personally? And the reason I'm so glad for these calls and texts, because this is what matters. We can listen to national news, read national news, but it's what we here in Wisconsin are experiencing in our real lives, our personal lives, that matter to me the most. And I think it's the best indication of where our state is at. How has Trump 2.0 affected you? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. You can also text us on the Civic Media app. I'm going to get to a number of texts in a minute. But first to Appleton and Cam listening in Appleton. Cam, thanks for holding. How has the first 100 days of Trump 2.0 affected you?
Hey, Todd and Aaron. I feel like it has severely hurt the rhetoric behind teleworking or remote working, in that even my job is now at risk of being lost because they don't want remote workers anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of coming down from, first, I'm not a Fed myself, but it kind of like impacts because people follow the trends of what the government sets. And it's kind of amazing seeing how many people think that remote work just means that you're lazy, or that it's not fair that you have to come into office. What people need to consider is the fact that when you are told that you need to start coming into office now, you have to spend money for gas, you have to spend money for parking, you have to spend money for childcare, you have to find childcare on short notice. If you sold your vehicle to save some money in this economy, now you have to find one at a higher price. It's just, there's no empathy period out there. It kind of blows my mind. Yeah. As for the last caller, I feel like these people live in cardboard box forts, because she doesn't realize that the tax code that the Democrats had in place was the one that was signed by Trump in 2017. Mm-hmm. It's been his tax code. You are not saving any money. It is going to go to the tax cuts for the rich. Please just learn to read.
Well, I appreciate the call. Thanks, Cam. I really appreciate the call. 855-752-4842. I want to get to a couple of these texts, and we'll go back to the phone lines in just a second. This from earlier in the show. This is Dana listening in La Crosse. Dana says, I have found no quarter for those who still remain MAGA. And unfortunately, that includes some close friends and family. I'd say that's a huge effect. Thanks, Trump, unquote. That's Dana in La Crosse. Of course, the thanks, I think, is sarcastic there at the end. I think that's a sad situation that I've heard from other people that has truly affected friendships, family relationships, and that's tough. That's really, really tough. Here's another caller calling in here, texter, I should say, saying, quote, I have grocery anxiety like I did during COVID. Since tariff threats, I buy extra every time I shop and store things up. Well, you and me both. Then he calls off tariffs, Trump, and I'm angry at myself that he reinstates tariffs. I'm sick of him messing with us. Appreciate that call there. Let's see here. We have also Kurt listening on WMDX here in Madison on the first 100 days of Trump 2.0 says, as a U.S. Army veteran, angry, very, very angry. What happened to those on the Hill who swore an oath to protect the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic, unquote. Carolyn, listening in Heartland on WAUK, says, my mental health is shot to hell. That's how 47's first 100 days are for us. Carolyn in Heartland. Philip in Beaver Dam says, have you looked at your retirement account? The last 3 months of the stock market is in negative territory, unquote. Thank you for calling or for texting in. And Megan in Sun Prairie, Trump's first 100 days finally broke my procrastination to upgrade my PC. Electronics are going to be wildly expensive soon, and I don't want to be trying to keep gaming on my 2018 build for 4 more years. Pretty minor, I know, but this is one of my main hobbies. And one more here. Lisa, listening in Madison on WMDX, says, hi, Todd. My son lost his job due to a cut in HUD funding that his position relied on. Another person I know who voted for Trump lost her job at the VA, and she had the health insurance through her job. Everyone knows someone who has been affected, unquote. That's Lisa listening in Madison. Thank you all. We'll read more of these as we go along here. I want to go back to the phone line quickly. Wisco Paul calling back. Wisco, what do you want to say? Go ahead, please.
Hey, happy day, Todd. Good show today also.
Appreciate it.
For me, it's retirement fund, and then the unknown with Social Security and Medicare. We don't know where that's going. Mm-hmm. And Stephen Miller, he shouldn't even be in charge of a light switch at the White House, for goodness sakes. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know whose idea it was to put the signs in the White House yard, but that's insane. And you got to think about this. This guy fell asleep at the Pope's funeral, right. And they used to call him Sleepy Joe. So could you imagine if Biden would have fell asleep at the Pope's funeral? I mean, for heaven's sake. Yeah. It's not good. I don't know. We can't go down much further, I hope. Okay, thanks, Todd.
Thanks,
Bye.
Wisco. I appreciate it. 855-752-4842. Trump's first 100 days 2.0. A couple more texts here on the text line. You can download the Civic Media app, your Apple or Android device, and text us. Brian in Milwaukee is saying, I've been buying store brands and buying in multi-quantity packs to save money based on quantity and ounce. I try to spend only on what I need to when I need to. Thanks, Brian in Milwaukee. Dave in New Berlin saying, on the brighter side, consider the material that we're getting on the Daily Show with Jon Stewart. Well, there's that, right? I mean, there is that. There's a lot of material on the comedy side, that's for sure. What do we say? What else we have here? Listener on WMDX says, financially and age-wise, I'm exactly, whoops, I lost that. It refreshes. There we go. I'm exactly like the retired librarian. Retirement savings account are severely hit. I think there's a lot of people there talking about that as well. One listener on WMDX in Madison saying, to me, it's very frustrating, Todd, you don't push back on the bigots on the border. We all know the border was not wide open during the last administration, unquote. Appreciate the comment. I think I tried to correct the record there a little bit. I just like to give people the space to, look, people have opinions on that. But no, I don't think I said that the border was wide open. I simply said that and this has been something with this Dan Schaefer, the recombobulation area, or Democrats themselves have said that they could have done better on talking about the border during the election. I said that during the Biden administration, the last 6 months, illegal border crossings were already at near, if not at record lows, and that Trump could have picked up on that. I don't think you can dispute that whether you agree with how he's done it or what he's done, that those have stayed down in lower numbers since he's become president. But yeah, I mean, I try to be as accurate as we can. 855-752-4842. Let's go to Plover, great town of Plover, central Wisconsin. Gail and Plover. Gail, how has the first 100 days of Trump 2.0 affected you personally?
Well, it cost me $1,200 more a year for medication because I couldn't afford it in the States. So I went to Canada, and that's where I get my medicine from. So $1,200 right off the bat.
Wow, that's incredible.
And people just don't understand it. They don't think it affects them.
Right. And I really appreciate you calling in, Gail, because that's something we don't talk about. I don't talk about enough is the cost of medication, the cost of prescriptions, and people on fixed incomes have to make decisions. It can be life-altering, by the way. Back with more, including what's worse after this. Don't go anywhere. See, Tuesday edition. I have no idea what day it is. Tuesday edition of the Allbaugh Show right here on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Marvin here. You're listening to 92.7 WMDX.
It's patio time in Madison. Let's head to the Lazy Oaf Lounge. Kick off spring with a cold one with friends on the Lazy Oaf patio. During Milwaukee baseball games, get half off of wing baskets. Plus, the Lazy Oaf Lounge is a great place for lunch with great daily specials, soups made from scratch, and fast, friendly service. The Lazy Oaf Lounge, 1617 North Stoughton Road in Madison. Find specials, menus, and more at lazyoaflounge.com.
Hey, Gordy. How you doing?
Oh, Arthur, great. Great to see you. What are you doing in the studio?
Well, I need to talk to you about doing a commercial.
Oh, okay. Well, to get a commercial on the air here, you just go down to the sales department. It's right next to the bathroom.
I don't think you understand.
Oh, I understand plenty. You salespeople drink a lot.
Oh, yeah, that was funny, yeah.
Right there.
Right, but I need to have you make a commercial about commercials.
Wait. A commercial about a commercial?
Our listeners are trying to get you hopped up on more caffeine, Todd.
Well,
maybe that's what I need. WMDX.
Okay.
Jizu on YouTube said, Todd, I'll say it again. Have some more coffee.
All right, we'll try.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, what's the email, huh?
Okay, so it's sales@WMDXradio.com.
Oh, wait, run that by me again.
Sales@WMDXradio.com. So we could put all that together and get into a commercial, get on the air soon?
Arthur, my friend, I think we just did.
Advertise on WMDX Radio. Email Arthur, sales@WMDXradio.com.
Wow,
Hey,
Cam,
Wisconsin, it's construction season, and the
that
Wisconsin
bumper
DOT
sticker.
wants to help you
Wow.
safely navigate work zones
It's
in
fun.
your
We're not
area.
reading on the
Check
air, but yes, it's
511wi.gov
interesting.
or download the free 511 app to see current road work, closures, detours, and camera views on your route.
People are
Wherever
crazy.
your travels take you, know before you go with 511wi.gov. That's 511wi.gov. And remember...
Allbaugh Show. Here we are at the Civic Media Radio Network. I'm reading these texts. I'm absolutely entertained. I love what we're talking about. Trump's first 100 days. Going to wrap it up and go to what's worse in a minute. But I want to get a couple more of these in off the text line. One more serious, and this is just heartbreaking, but it's very real. I've heard other people say this. This is Terry, listening on WAUK. As a result of Trump's first 100 days, second term, I canceled my retirement this summer. Not the first person I've heard tell me that, in private or public. Well, I was thinking about retiring this year or next. Nope, not doing that anymore. My 401k, my retirement account, took a hit. Going to have to keep working longer. Here's one, speaking of UPS earlier. I'm assuming this is our friend Matt, the UPS driver in Richland Center. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is tongue-in-cheek. Says, I slept well, too, because Trump is stopping the windmills from giving me cancer.
Sharks.
That's some of the more, there's a lot of wacky stuff that Trump says. But saying that windmills are causing cancer. It's funny, but it's one of those things that's funny, but it's not. I don't know, it's a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks ago, was the anniversary from 2020 when Trump was president and he was up on the podium at the White House talking about sticking that tube of light up your rear end to cure COVID. And I mean, the way he talked about, and what was her name? The woman with the scarf, the doctor, whatever her name was, and she just had her head in her hands, like, oh my God, what is this guy talking about?
That's a common thing. Even still, that happens. Like when Trump and Vance were grilling Zelensky in the Oval Office, and everybody around, like Marco Rubio, is sinking into the couch. People in the front row are putting their head in their hands.
That's just how bizarre that. As a former legislative staffer, both the state and the federal level, to have your boss up there talking about sticking hoses of light up your rear end to cure COVID. Seriously.
Or injecting bleach.
And drinking bleach and saying that windmills cause cancer. And people sit there and applaud this. I mean, it really is the old child parable of the emperor has no clothes. People are afraid to say, you're naked. All right, 25 past the hour. Time once again for What's Worse. Let's go.
This or that, this or that. Then, of course, the choice is yours. You can get with this, or
Time
you can
once
get
again
with that.
for What's Worse. No prize money involved, nothing to give away. But it is your opportunity to have your voice heard across all 11 news, talk, sports stations in the Civic Media Talk Network. Troy, listening, our good friend Troy, Mount Horeb, gave me the name Dr. Bix, I think. Thank you, Troy. Appreciate that. She was great. All right, here we go. Time once again for What's Worse. Timely indeed. The Brewers are back on the air tonight. You can hear the pregame show across Civic Media. 6:05 broadcast in Richland Center, Oshkosh, Bagash, Racine, Kenosha, Park Falls, and now in beautiful Hayward. Brewers taking on the Southsiders, Chicago White Sox tonight, 6:05. They got a win over St. Louis last time out. Brewers back in Milwaukee against the evil Chicago Cubs at the end of the week. But lots of people eating or watching the Brewers, listening to the Brewers, enjoy a little sauerkraut. Or maybe some cheese. So what's worse, sauerkraut or stinky cheese? Most likely Limburger. I guess you could say there's some like blue cheeses that are kind of stinky. But what's worse, sauerkraut or stinky cheese? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. You can also text us on the Civic Media app. Download it at your app at your Apple or Android device today. Go to your app store, go to the search bar, type in Civic, C-I-V-I-C, Media. It'll pop up, little CM logo. Click on that. Takes less than a minute to download. It is free, won't cost you a dime. Gratis cero, as they say in Espanol. Gail King over at CBS, she calls it a deal. The Civic Media app. What's worse, sauerkraut or stinky cheese? 855-752-4842. Brian in Milwaukee, listening on WAUK. Brian, sauerkraut or stinky cheese, what's worse?
Being Polish, I'm going to have to go with stinky cheese. Sauerkraut's a big thing, especially when you have nice grilled fresh kielbasa. We always parboil it.
Oh, nice.
And then we put it under the broiler, and we get fresh, either Clemens or C&M.
Yep.
And we then broil it to the point where it's like, it's not like burnt, but it's nicely crisp on the outside.
Yes.
And we've been doing this since I was a kid for Christmas and Easter, family tradition. It's always Polish sauerkraut. I mean, you can't.
I appreciate the call, Brian. You're cutting out a little bit there, but I appreciate Brian, a guy after my own heart. I love the grill and brats, kielbasa, whatever it is. He's exactly right. You don't burn it, but you get just that crispy, dark brown, right in the border, almost black, but a dark brown grill on the outside of that brat or kielbasa. Yeah, they're really good. And for me, the key is the sauerkraut got a little sweetness to it versus it's that balance between sweet and sour for me on the sauerkraut. So what's worse, sauerkraut or stinky cheese? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. David in Richland Center listening on WRCE. Neither is worse. I love them both. Well, there you go. That's probably a German guy there, I bet. Good German. See, I'm mostly German, a little Czech in me. I've gotten more used to sauerkraut the older I've gotten. I'll have Limburger once a year, maybe down at Monroe, because it's just, you got to do it. But that's harder for me to do, I think. What else we have here? Dave in New Berlin says, I'm going with feet. Cheese. Stinky cheese smells like feet. Cam in Appleton, stinky cheese is worse. Looks like moldy something or other. Not
I don't read
cool.
that.
All right. We'll come back after this. It's the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Little update for your local news, sports, and weather. Come on back. UPS cutting 20,000 jobs for the other side.
Madison, real news and great conversation. 92.7
The
WMDX.
word that Cam used there is the term for when somebody is uncircumcised and they don't clean themselves.
We're not talking
Yeah,
about
I know.
Potato planting has begun here in Wisconsin, but there are still some worries.
He's not
ahead.
wrong,
I'm Ben
in my
Barber with
opinion.
The Midwest Farm Report, and Tam
I'm not going there.
the executive director of the Wisconsin Potato and Vegetable
Todd, is
Growers
there a reason
Association,
why you
shares
will
some
not
of the
find
worries
sauerkraut
that they
offered
have
99
for this
the rest of Wisconsin?
2025
But in fact,
season.
the Germans' most reported ancestry of the state. Sauerkraut is bougie? Really? Sauerkraut's bougie?
I wouldn't say so. It's just Polish.
I've seen sauerkraut offered in more restaurants than that.
They end up as French fries. And so when consumption goes down and our friends out west in Idaho and Washington and Oregon and out east in Maine, if they can't ship frozen fries overseas, that hurts the entire domestic industry. That'll just flood the domestic market if we're not able to export efficiently.
Houlihan says that though these worries are in the future, currently producers are feeling like they are in a good place and expect a good planting season. For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Ben Jarbo, and we'll see how the market's finished up right after this.
When it's time to choose a residual herbicide for your soybeans, you need broad-spectrum weed control that lasts. Zidua Pro and Zidua SC herbicides by
Is there a
BASF
cut
give your
on
crop up to 2
Amazon
more weeks of
on,
residual weed control, providing 50% more control than other Group 15 residuals. The long-lasting herbicide portfolio protects your soybeans from even the toughest weeds while providing a steady growing environment for the entire season. Talk to your retailer today about adding Zidua Pro and Zidua SC herbicides to your 2025
here's
plan.
Carolyn
Always
Levitt.
read and follow label directions.
Giving back. It's at the heart of the Wisconsin farmer, and it starts
This is
with supporting
Carolyn
the
Levitt
backbones of our community. That's why the Wisconsin
saying
Soybean
that
Marketing Board
it's a
invests in
hostile
soy foam
attack
for
by
our
him.
firefighters. Soy foam TF1122 is the first and only firefighting foam green screen certified at the gold level. As a PFAS-free firefighting foam, it's safe for you and the environment. A safe future for your community. Thanks to your soy checkoff. Learn more at wisoybean.org.
I'm Ben Jarbo with the Midwest Farm Report. A slight mix on the close today.
I'm
as
trying
cash
to find a
corn down
clip
3 1/4
from,
cents at 475.5,
Rocky and
with new crop
Bullwinkle,
corn down 5 1/2 at
where
450
Boris and Natasha
Cash soybeans saw a gain
are
of
trying to
2
fly the
1/4
plane
cents at
into a
10.52,
country, but
with
there's
new crop
Limburger
soybeans
lilies
down a
that they
1/4
bloom at certain times of the day, and they open up and the stink kills anyone who tries to fly over the border.
Oh my good lord!
But I can't find it.
That's all right. That's all right. Did you got the one from Amazon?
Yes.
Carolyn Levitt.
May
All right.
contracts are up 3 cents at 8.
I know we don't need that one. I just thought it would be
Yeah.
funny to open up with.
18 cents at 17.26 a hundredweight. Barrels of cheese saw no change, sitting at 170.5, and 40-pound block also saw no change at 170.
No
And
secret.
butter
I don't know.
was down
We're
half
kind of
penny
doing a
at
secret show, Dave. We're just
227.5.
talking.
For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Ben Jarbo.
I don't think all Cubs fans are bums. I'm not a Cubs fan, but I do know some Cubs fans. They're not all bums.
Years of top quality service, they treat your property like their own. 608-209.
Sunny today and breezy.
It's just fun to have a
Winds
rivalry.
out of the northwest,
And
gusting
unlike the
around 20 to
Packers
30
and the
miles per
Bears,
hour.
I mean, other than
East
one
tonight
win
with
in
clear skies and
January,
drop chilly.
but
Into
other
the
than that,
mid-30s.
it's been pretty
And tomorrow,
lopsided.
it'll be
It's
sunny with
tough to have a
highs at
rivalry
60 and some
when
rain
you always
rolling in
win.
late. I'm
Cubs,
meteorologist
Brewers,
Brittany Merlot,
that's much
currently
more of a
at
real
61.
rivalry, in my
Everybody
opinion.
wants the same thing from their mattress. A good night's rest, am I right? You need someone to listen to what you want and who knows the materials that will get you there. At Verlo, we're your friendly neighborhood mattress genius. American made, locally crafted. Welcome to Verlo.
reviewing the week's legal news with a friend of the court.
Well, I'm looking forward to Saturday morning. I haven't been.
It's all good, Dave. Thank you.
Just like being in school.
It has been a week in the areas of law and government and the aspiration for justice in America. As always, I am delighted. I am honored that you have chosen to spend some of your weekend time with me in discussion.
Amicus, a law review with Jim Santel. Saturday mornings from 9 to 11.
You are listening to your local Civic Media radio station on air. Thank you. Did you know we are always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app too?
Network, the Town Hall Show. Glad to be with you. Aaron Zummer is on the board. 35 now past the hour of 3 o'clock. Lots to get to. A short time to get there right now in the middle of what's worse, sauerkraut or stinky cheese. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. You can text us on the Civic Media app like Judy in Lodi. Listening on WMDX says, my mom would make homemade sauerkraut, and I loved it. My father would have Limburger, and I can't stand it. Give me sauerkraut. Stinky cheese is worse, 100%. Eric, listening on WMDX in Madison. Todd, is there a reason why you will not find sauerkraut offered at 99% of restaurants in Wisconsin, despite the fact that German is the most reported ancestry in the state? Sauerkraut is bougie.
Or he might have been saying bogus.
Oh, bogus. I thought it was bougie.
I'm not sure. I think it's a typo, but it's one of those two words.
Regardless, I've been in a lot of restaurants, particularly Milwaukee, other places as well. Wisconsin Dells area, Sauk County, up north, I've been in restaurants that they offer sauerkraut.
And it is more Polish than German as well.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's fair. Greg in Genesee Depot, listening on WAUK, says stinky cheese is worse. Trying to think here. Anybody else? I think we're all caught up there on the what's worse. What's worse, sauerkraut or stinky cheese? Go to the phone line quickly, 855-752-4842. Ollie, up in the North Woods. Ollie, thanks for calling. Sauerkraut or stinky cheese? What's worse?
Well, stinky cheese is definitely worse. It's pretty hard to cut the cheese and get it to your mouth all the time while you're trying to hold your nose.
That's true. I agree. I found about the only way to digest or to take in stinky cheese, beer. As it turns out, if you have a beer chaser right there, much easier to take it.
Well, there's always good recipes for sauerkraut. And I bet you your friend who couldn't find sauerkraut in any of the restaurants was not thinking about the Reuben, which has sauerkraut on it and is delicious.
Yep, very good. Well done. Well said, Ollie. Thanks so much. Have a great day up there in the beautiful North Woods of Wisconsin. A couple more here off the text line on the Civic Media app. Steve in Mount Horeb says stinky cheese leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Nicely done. Roseanne in Fitchburg. They are both probiotics, so therefore both good for you. I'm 100% German. Now that's a foodie right there. That's great information, a great take on that. Mark in Prairie du Sac says brat stands usually have kraut. Yes,
often, yeah.
Often, a lot of them do. So thank you, everybody. Thank you very much, everybody who participated. Zommers, quickly.
I think because of watching the animated program Rocky and Bullwinkle as a kid, there's an episode where there's a country bordered by what they called Limburger lilies, and anytime someone flies a plane over it, they die from the smell. And I've never had Limburger, and
really never had it.
I am okay with that. So my uninformed opinion is that stinky cheese is worse. Also, I love sauerkraut.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I've gotten more used to sauerkraut as I've gotten older. I would say that, and I still, like once a year down at Baumgartner's in Monroe, I'll have some Limburger on rye with a spotted cow.
I imagine on bread or in a sandwich or something might be better. But then again, I don't know what it tastes like.
But overall, I'll say that stinky cheese is worse. Thanks, everybody who played. Have more tomorrow, 855-752-4842. All right, let's do a speed round here in the time that we have left. I want to get to these. This made news this morning and continued to make news as we went on the air. And Amazon announced overnight or in the early morning hours today that on their website, Amazon Prime, they were going to start listing where it says the price. They're going to put next to it the percent or the actual dollar amount that you're paying extra now because of the Trump tariffs, which I think is very smart, by the way.
And to be fair, they were not saying tariff surcharge. It said import costs.
Sure.
I know it's the same thing, but I just want to point that out to show it was not specifically, it wasn't anti-Trump language or anything like that.
I think that's fair. Yes, they did call it Trump. They call it import costs, but which would have been a result of a tariff. Well, this morning at the press briefing at the White House, somebody in the press asked White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt about this, and she was none too pleased. Here's Leavitt when asked the question.
So it was reported this morning that Amazon will soon display a little number next to the price of each product that shows how much the Trump tariffs are adding to the cost of each product. So isn't that a perfect crystal clear demonstration that it's the American consumer and not China who is going to have to pay for these policies?
I will take this since I just got off the phone with the president about Amazon's announcement. This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years? And I would also add that it's not a surprise because, as Reuters recently wrote, Amazon has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm. So this is another reason why Americans should buy American. It's another reason why we are onshoring critical supply chains here at home to shore up our own critical supply chain and boost our own manufacturing here.
Now, the reporter had it absolutely right. The reporter had it absolutely right. Isn't this clearly showing the American public that it's the Trump tariffs who are jacking up the prices and that it's Americans who are going to have to pay for these tariffs and not China? Bingo. End of story. But Carolyn Leavitt has been programmed to say what she's told. And so she spews forth this nonsense that it's aggressive. This is aggressive. This is unfair. So it didn't take long. It didn't take long as we were coming on the air. According to CNN, the White House took aggressive action and aim at Amazon. President Trump put in a call to Amazon founder Jeff Bezos shortly after this, what you just heard, after the company considered displaying the added cost of tariffs on certain items. Trump called Bezos to complain about the reports that Amazon was considering displaying the cost of the tariffs next to prices for certain products on the company's website, according to two senior aides in the White House. Punchbowl News first reported that Amazon was soon, quote, display how much of an item's cost is derived from tariffs right next to the product's total listed price, unquote. The move could directly illustrate to American consumers how Trump's tariffs are affecting the cost of goods. Trump has slapped 145% tariffs on imports from China and a 10% minimum tax on all other countries. The call from Trump to Bezos came shortly after one senior official phoned the president to inform him of what was going on. One person who spoke on condition of anonymity said, quote, of course he was pissed, unquote. Quote, why should a multi-billion-dollar company pass off costs to consumers, unquote. Well, that's kind of the way it works. That's kind of what Kamala Harris and Democrats said was going to happen.
And not just Democrats, but
no, Republicans
economists.
Too. Right, economists.
Neutral parties.
I think this is fantastic. I mean, not but I think it's great that Amazon is being honest about this.
I hate that they're backing down.
Well, yeah, I hate they're backing down, but it shows you, look, Trump is bullying these, even a multi-billion-dollar company like Amazon, a guy like Jeff Bezos, they don't want to be on the wrong side of Trump because Trump is taking out his wrath via his executive order pen. So it's an unfortunate but great example of how Trump is just bullying people into submission, but also a great example to show us all who's going to pay for this. You and I are. And I don't want to go down this road too far because we talked about it already before and touched on it earlier today. According to people in the logistics business, the shipping industry, even if Trump pulls this 145% tariff back from China, it is already too late to take goods from China and get them onto shipping containers and ships to get to the United States to keep up with demand. And every day these tariffs stay in place, the more shelves at big box stores and even local mom and pop shops to a degree are going to be bare. And this whole thing that Carolyn Levitt said, oh, we're going to onshore things and it's going to be, I mean, come on. Does she think we're all born on a weekend? It takes years for companies to build new things, new plants here in the United States, higher cost in producing them. It's insulting how Caroline Levitt and others think that the American public is going to fall for this crap. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. Speaking of people that tick me off, and speaking of these tariffs, I believe this was yesterday on television. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was asked about this, was asked about the empty shelves that are headed our way. Here's what he said yesterday.
Currently, right now, are you worried about empty shelves? Because they say that a lot of these, the supply lines and the cargo ships are being held up. A lot of people are saying, turn it around with the tariffs this high. I don't want the product. Are you worried about empty shelves?
Not at present. We have some great retailers. I assume they pre-ordered. I think we'll see some elasticities. I think we'll see replacements. And then we will see how quickly the Chinese want to de-escalate.
I assume they pre-ordered? Again, how dumb do these people think we are? I mean, yes, I assume that most of our big box stores, most of our retailers could assume that President Trump was going to do the unthinkable and put 145% tariff on China. So I assume they knew that, could read minds, and I assumed that they pre-ordered.
Right. What he's saying here does not make the Trump administration look good. What he's saying is, I admit we did the most idiotic thing we possibly could, and that they're smarter than us and thought ahead.
Again, as Zommers pointed out, economists and even Republicans have said there was no indication that it was going to be 145% tariff. So for Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to say that is just disingenuous at best and complete buffoonery at worst.
Also shows a complete lack of understanding of how supply chains work.
Yeah. Or just not wanting to admit that to the American people. There are going to be shortages this summer, folks. We know that from logistics people, even if Trump pulls back the 145% tariff on China today. And every day he waits is going to be worse. I'm not trying to create a panic or whatever. I'm just telling you what I know. What I know from people that are smarter than me. Think about things for your kids for fall, school shopping. That's one of the things that infuriates me, that they put out back to school stuff in July. Well, if I were you, I don't have kids in school, but if I had kids in school, I would be going out and buying things for the fall now. Because there's going to be a shortage. Stores are going to have empty shelves. And be aware now, because Trump will blame it. He'll try to blame it back on Joe Biden. He'll try to blame it on a million other people. Again, to use a sports term, this is an unforced error. It didn't need to happen. Donald Trump chose to put us in this position as a country, to put us in this position as consumers, and there is only him to blame, and that's one of the big takeaways on this 100th day of Trump 2.0. Come on back, talk about UPS on the other side, and wrap things up as the Allbaugh Show for a Tuesday on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Wisconsin has a fish fry on a Friday night. This is the Civic Media Radio
Thank you
Network.
to the kind caller at WMDX. I speak my mind for better or
32
worse.
flavors? No artificial flavors or colors? How do I choose?
Easy. Order one, then come back 31 more times.
Frosty's, West Madison's new ice cream spot, 702 South Gammon Road.
Herbal Aspect has landed. That's right. Madison's go-to cannabis destination now has a brand new location in
Now,
Sun
hearing these
Prairie.
ads after the show, do I go and get one of the 32 flavors of ice cream, or do I go to
Three
Herbal
Madison
Aspect
locations and now Sun Prairie, a great cannabis experience is
and get a
always
great
close
cannabis
by.
experience?
Our expert staff is here to help, whether you walk in, call, or order online. Mention Radio 420 and get a special discount. So stop by Herbal Aspect in Sun Prairie because great cannabis
We should play
isn't
the
just
Canada
a
cut
pipe
if there's
dream.
time to.
I'm rolling over now.
Herbal Aspect.
It's your girl, Brandy Grayson, the hostess with the mostest of the Black Conversion Show. And I'm inviting you to the Black Brilliance Gala hosted by Urban Triage on Saturday, May 31st at the Overture Center for the Arts. Join us for an elegant night celebrating unsung heroes. For ticket information and to learn about sponsorship opportunities, please visit us at urbantriage.org. That's urbantriage.org.
Amicus, a law review with Jim Santel.
Ross calling in.
Thanks for your show. I'm just wondering if we're watching or witnessing a legal system where what we thought was precedent is now going to be sort of cast away.
The reality is the question that you raise about the future and what are the implications when in fact the things we understood always to be bedrocks of our community, of our nation, are no longer that.
Amicus, a law review, Saturday mornings from 9 to 11.
Teachers are dynamic leaders shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. They're skilled experts, discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, leading by example. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready? Explore teaching at teach.org. Supported by the U.S. Department of Education and 1 million teachers of color.
The John and Gordy Show.
Do we have as our special guest Mike McCabe?
What they are trying to do is finance $4 trillion worth of tax cuts for the rich. We've got a whole bunch of billionaires who don't pay taxes, and we are deporting people who do pay taxes.
Yeah.
So, I said it's not like we're rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. We're throwing paying passengers overboard to make more room for a bigger first class for those freeloaders who are lounging there.
Weekday mornings 6 till 8 on 92.7
Summers is
WMDX and the
tired.
Civic
How
Media
about that?
app.
Every 15 seconds, someone is
I didn't think
diagnosed
I was,
with
but-
cancer. If it's
Here
happening
we
to
are. Taking it all
or
out of
someone
him
you
today,
love,
folks.
the American Cancer Society can help at every step.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network, where it is now 8 before the hour of 4 o'clock. At the top of the hour, news, weather, and sports. ABC, CBS News Networks, whichever station you're listening to across Wisconsin. A little weather update for you, sports, with a great sports reporter, Mike Clemens, followed by another edition of the Maggie Dawn Show, and then Pete Schwaba across the state of Wisconsin, originating from our great station, WGBW in Green Bay. Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Want to just kick up, put on a brat tonight, a kielbasa, some sauerkraut, a spotted cow? Turn on Schwaba, because he will entertain you all evening long across. It's a great program. It makes you feel better after you've listened to it.
It really does. I don't get to listen every day. Stuff comes up. But when I do take the time, I never regret it.
No, it's fantastic. Pete Schwaba every evening, 6 until 8. All right, lots to get to tonight. Not only did I promote that Kreitlow was going to be on the show, and he's going to be on the show tomorrow, I promoted there was a word that Donald Trump likes to think about in terms of the world. We're going to tell you the word today that I forgot. There was so much going on, I didn't have a chance to get to it. The word is patrimonialism. Patrimonialism.
Huh?
We're going to save this. Ian gives us something tomorrow to talk about. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Patrimonialism and Matt Damon. Sorry we could not get you on. You've been bumped.
We'll get to Matt Damon tomorrow, though.
Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something? All right, want to get to a couple things quickly. First of all, according to CBS News this afternoon, UPS announced it's planning to cut 20,000 jobs this year, part of a cost-cutting effort that's linked to the delivery giant's decision to deliver fewer packages from Amazon, its biggest customer. The shipping company, which operates in over 200 countries, currently has around 490,000 employees. The layoff will impact slightly over 4% of its workforce. The announcement, this follows, an announcement from UPS last year that it would cut 12,000 positions. The move is part of the company's plan to consolidate UPS facilities and workforce. Along with the job cuts, the company announced it will also close 73 of its buildings by the end of June of this year and said that it may target additional buildings for closure. Quote, these actions will enable us to expand our U.S. domestic operating margin and increasing profitability, unquote, according to Bill Dykes, a chief financial officer at UPS, said during an earnings call this morning. In the Tuesday regulatory filing, UPS says the cuts are, quote, in connection with our anticipation of lower volumes from our largest customer, unquote. The company, which announced $21.5 billion in revenue for this past quarter, expects to save $3.5 billion with a B this year as a result of its consolidation plan. Some discussion online whether this is a result of, again, the Trump tariffs, which we just talked about, which are having already the effect that we're not going to have as much shipping coming from China goods, therefore fewer things to deliver, which means that might be part of the reason UPS is cutting these jobs, combined with perhaps that Amazon is delivering some of these packages themselves. In any case, my days working at LL Bean, nobody works harder than our delivery folks. UPS, FedEx, United States Postal Service, hats off to all you guys and gals because you're doing great work out there. We're thinking of you at this time as well. Want to get to this cup? Canadian elections were held yesterday for Parliament. It was thought 2 or 3 months ago that Conservatives are going to sweep into power. Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister on the Liberal side, resigned, stepped down to make way for the new guy that came on as Prime Minister, Carney. And last night, Liberals swept to power in Parliament and as the new Prime Minister. Here's the new Prime Minister, Carney, chilling words last night after Liberals took control of Canada.
Our old relationship with the United States, a relationship based on steadily increasing integration, is over. The system of open global trade anchored by the United States, a system that Canada has relied on since the Second World War, a system that, while not perfect, has helped deliver prosperity for a country for decades, is over. These are tragedies, but it's also our new reality. We are over the shock of the American betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons.
New Prime Minister of Canada, Carney, I think it's Mark Carney of the Liberal Party. And he made clear this is not against, quote unquote, Americans, but rather the American politicians and Donald Trump in particular. One of the biggest results, I think, to bring it back around, Trump's first 100 days, Canada, no longer a reliable ally because of Donald Trump. Words of my former teacher, Ken Lewis, sad, bad, not glad. You chuckle about it, but I mean, I never thought I'd see the day when a Canadian Prime Minister would say that. The Conservatives lost big in Canada last night, partly because Trump endorsed him, I think.
Yep.
Let's see. We have time for this. We're out at 59:50. Yeah, we got time for this. All right. Connor Stefanoff. Feel-good story. 20-year-old pizza delivery driver using his grandmother's car was tipped $2 after driving through a blizzard to a customer's home. Lieutenant Richard Craig spotted Stefanoff trekking through the snow without proper gear and stopped to praise his work ethic. After discovering how much he had been tipped, $2, Craig gave Stefanoff the $15 he had in his wallet and started a GoFundMe, hoping to raise $500 as a tip for the young man. 3 weeks and 2,000 donations later, the drive has raised over $41,000. Stefanoff plans to use the donations to buy his own car. There's some feel good. See, there are some good Americans out there. Some good folks. Good way to leave you. Many thanks to all. Thanks for the great participation. Thanks for the discussion. Thanks to Aaron Zommers. We'll see you all back here tomorrow. Pat Kreitler will be here. Trygve Olsen. Until then, whatever you're fighting for, whatever you believe in, do not give up. Keep banging your drum. See you tomorrow.
Keep banging on, and your day will come. Keep banging on your drum, and they will hear you.
All right, everybody. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Adios.